6 feet under your backyard right now, the temperature hasn't moved more than a degree or two in months. Not during the heat wave last week. Not during whatever cold snap hit last winter. While your thermostat has been fighting a losing battle against the sky, the ground beneath your feet has just been sitting there at a steady, boring, endlessly useful 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a way to pull the temperature up into your house for the cost of a few $100s in pipe. Here's the problem most of us are stuck with. Mechanical air conditioning works, but it's expensive to run. It strains the grid on the exact days you need it most, and it's completely helpless the moment the power goes out. Every summer, the same story. Electricity bills spike, compressors groan under peak load, and somewhere a utility company sends out a "please conserve energy" text while charging you more for the privilege of surviving July. We've been trained to think there's no other way to move heat except by paying for the electricity to force it. But there's older, quieter physics happening under your lawn, and it's been sitting there ignored, mostly because it doesn't come in a box with a brand name on it. Go back roughly 2,400 years to ancient Persia, to a city called Yazd. Engineers there built massive dome structures called yakchals, literally ice pits, some rising 60 feet tall with thick earthen walls made from a lime clay sand plaster mix that insulated startlingly well for a pre-industrial material. These structures connected to qanats, underground tunnels originally dug to carry water for miles from distant mountains. Air moving through those long underground tunnels emerged cool, regardless of how brutal the desert sun was overhead, and that cooled air fed straight into the yakchal chambers. The result? Persians stored literal ice in the middle of a desert through summers that could exceed 115 degrees outside, using nothing but geometry and the constant temperature of the earth. This wasn't a one-off trick. Cultures across the world independently arrived at earth contact cooling. Different regions, different materials, same underlying idea. Dig deep enough and the ground stops caring what season it is. So why did we walk away from something that worked for thousands of years? The short answer is timing and marketing, not sabotage. In 1902, Willis Carrier solved a humidity problem in a Pittsburgh printing plant. And by the 1920s, the Carrier Corporation was running campaigns that framed mechanical air conditioning as the symbol of modern progress. Machines as the future, older passive methods as primitive, fit only for root cellars. Building codes that formed through the early to mid-1900s were written by people steeped in mechanical systems. Because that's what the emerging HVAC industry was actively building and standardizing around. Passive earth cooling wasn't banned out of some grand conspiracy. It just never got written into the rulebook, and once something isn't in the rulebook, contractors don't learn it, inspectors don't recognize it, and it quietly disappears from professional practice. Not erased, just never reinvited to the table. Here's the science in plain terms. Soil is heavy and slow to change temperature. Moving the temperature of a cubic foot of dirt by even 1 degree takes a real amount of heat energy, and that heat has to travel down from the surface, which takes weeks. By the time summer's warmth has crept 6 feet underground, the season above has already flipped toward autumn. That lag is exactly why root cellars and wine caves have worked for centuries without a single watt of electricity, and it's the same principle a modern earth tube or thermal labyrinth system taps into. You're not creating cold, you're borrowing a temperature the ground already has and routing it into your living space. This isn't some backyard fantasy. It's actively used technology in parts of Europe today, especially in German and Austrian passive house construction, where earth-to-air heat exchangers are a recognized, if niche, design element for cutting mechanical cooling loads. The reason it hasn't caught on as widely in the US comes down to code inertia and market incentive rather than any deliberate suppression. American residential codes are largely written around the assumption that all air handling happens inside conditioned ductwork, so a buried pipe pulling in outside air doesn't fit neatly into existing categories, which makes permitting more of a hassle than installing a conventional AC unit that everyone already knows how to inspect. Add in genuine radon concerns in certain regions, and you get a system that's technically sound but bureaucratically inconvenient, which is a very different thing from banned. If you want to build one, here's roughly how it works. You bury a smooth-walled HDPE or PVC pipe, typically 8 to 12 inches in diameter, running on 100 to 200 feet through the ground at a depth of about 6 feet, below the frost line, deep enough to hit stable thermal mass. The pipe should slope gently, about a 2% grade, toward a drainage point because cool air passing through will condense moisture and that water needs somewhere to go rather than pooling and breeding mold. Air should move through at a modest 6 to 13 feet per second, fast enough to actually deliver airflow, slow enough to properly exchange heat with the surrounding soil. The intake end sits well away from the house, elevated slightly off the ground, screened to keep out debris and insects with a decent filter behind it. At the house end, a small inline fan, somewhere in the 50 to 80 watt range, keeps air moving when passive convection isn't enough. Bed the pipe in compacted sand for good soil contact, avoid sharp bends in favor of gentle curves, and mark exactly where it runs so you're not accidentally digging through your own system in 5 years. Now for the part that matters most, safety and limitations, and this is non-negotiable if you're serious about doing this right. Radon is a real concern in many regions, and if you're in an area with elevated radon levels, this is not a system to build casually. Activated charcoal canisters are sometimes marketed as a fix, but they are not a reliable long-term radon mitigation method for a continuously flowing air system, and treating them as one is genuinely risky. If radon is a known issue in your area, this needs proper site testing, a radon detector installed and monitored at the outlet, and ideally a conversation with someone who does professional radon mitigation before you rely on this system for indoor air. Beyond radon, drainage failure is the other real risk. If that 2% slope isn't maintained or the cleanout gets neglected, standing water inside the pipe becomes a mold problem, not a cooling solution. This also isn't a full replacement for air conditioning in extreme sustained heat. It's a load-reducing system that can meaningfully cut your mechanical cooling demand, not eliminate it outright, and running it continuously during a heat wave without rest periods will gradually reduce its own performance as the surrounding soil warms up. Build it as a supplement, test it, monitor it, and treat manufacturer or contractor claims of guaranteed permanent performance with the same skepticism you'd apply to any other appliance. The ground under your house has been running this exact physics since before anyone thought to write a building code about it. It doesn't care about industry standards or installation trends. It just holds its temperature quietly the way it always has. Understanding that isn't about outsmarting anyone. It's just remembering something we used to know. Hidden fixed slab